in class 5. So it was pretty much something, okay, it happened, I'm still so naive, I'm just screaming, shouting and crying and doing all that, because I also asked my sister what are the steps that have been taken, but she just, brushed off over the issue.
So imefika mahali mzee wangu akawa ni ile anabadilisha wanawake, but ni painful, lakini ni ile tu najikaza nasema acha nivumilie sababu ya watoto.
Asubuhi na siku unasikia nani alibomolewa nyumba ama nani walibomoa mlango wake akapita wakamrape plus na watoto.
It's about listening to them, like what is the real situation? What is the trauma behind what is happening to them?
This is Kibera slums, one of the largest informal settlements in Africa. Everything looks calm here, but beneath the overlapping tin roofs are hundreds of families living from hand to mouth. Behind these closed doors are cases of human rights abuses that go unreported. Many of the victims being women or girls. We have
girls who are on drugs. We have girls who are people perpetrators. We have, can I call it, people trying to seduce them, or even pushing them into sexual relationships.
Poverty kwa hizi manyumba yenye inaweza kufanya hawezi maybe achieve goals zako, ama poverty ndio kenye inaweza kutuma maybe hadi kwa wao wababa.
Same to women, mostly women. When you are talking about women, then we are talking about violence at home, or violence against women. So that is very common.
Na lawama zote zinakuja kwa mama. Lawama haziji kwa baba. Mamake ndo mamake alikuwa hivi. Sasa sijui kwa nini lawama zinakuja kwa kina mama.
I do not hate you.
A dazzling smile will grab your attention. Fanny grew up knowing that the only way to communicate her happy moments was by a smile. But this has not been the case. She feels the pain of betrayal after an attempted rape by a close relative.
The incidents happened after my mom went to upcountry, so I didn't quite have a chance to tell her because I was still in that shock mood. And then I remember my sister was the one who did the phone call to my mom. So my mom felt very bad. She felt so frustrated. She felt like, why would she leave us at this moment? We still need her. She would have been closer to us. So yeah, that's how my mom got to know about it. I didn't get to report the case because by then I didn't really know more about my rights. Let me say that. I didn't really know more about my rights. And I was still in class 5. So it was pretty much something, okay, it happened, I'm still so naive. I'm just screaming, shouting and crying and doing all that. Because I also asked my sister, what are the steps that have been taken? But she just, brushed off over the issue. The action affected me in a way that I became a very silent student. I never used to talk. So anytime in class, someone would wrong me, someone would even step on my toe, I had no voice to speak about anything. Even the area that we lived was quite full of boys who are taking drugs, everywhere. Like sexual harassment was so normal. It's like taking water. And no one, someone could just walk and spank you and then, it's just normal. Whom will you report to? Growing up with that trauma, I had to go through counseling after the process happened. And I hated the clothes I was putting on that day. They were my favorite. I had to burn them up because of the anger and rage that I had. Because Personally, I didn't expect that could happen to me because, this is the experience I went through. You would also love to assist the other person. If you do not go through the right process, you'd either get to hate people, you'd either get to hate yourself, or even kill yourself because of stress and everything.
She is one among many women and girls who have endured great pain in these slums. For Alice, not her real name, getting married at the age of 15 was the beginning of a blissful marriage, a thorny path that she took with the hope of a better tomorrow, only to end in tears.
Mimi ile kitu nilifanya nikaingia kwa ndoa mapema. Wazazi wangu wali divorce. Mama waliachana na baba. Mama akaenda kwingine, tukabaki na baba. Baba pia wakati alioa hakuweza kukaa na sisi. So tukawa tunaishi na shosho, na shosho hakuwa na ile income ya kuweza kutusomesha, atuprovidie chakula. So ukakuta ni ile maisha ikawa iko hard. Unaweza kuta ni mara moja kwa siku mnaweza afford chakula, ama sometimes hata mnaweza lala njaa. So ikaendelea hivyo. Unaona mtoto msichana itabidi au utakaa tu uvumilie. But nilikuwa nakaa so nikafikiria ikafika nilipofikia hiyo umri nikaona afadhali nioleke kozi maisha ni ngumu. So nilikuwa nafikiria ukioleka utaenda life ikuwe mzuri sababu uko kwako. So kwa hiyo harakati nikazaa mtoto wa 3 pia. Nikamlea, wa 3 alikuwa kijana. Alipofika 1 year 2 months, huyu mtoto alikufa. Ile kukufa nimekuja nikafuatisha watoto 2 nyuma ya huyo mtoto. But si kupata ile kijana, niko tu na wasichana. So maisha ikakuwa ngumu, sizai kijana tena, niko tu na wasichana. So imefika mahali mzee wangu akawa nile anabadilisha wanawake. But ni painful. Lakini nile tu najikaza nasema acha nivumilie sababu ya watoto. Unajua pia kama una kijana familia pia huwa inaingilia. So unakuta zile vitu anafanya familia pia na support. Anasema sasa kama mimi nimeshindwa kupata mke kijana yeye afanye aje.
A report by FIDA shows that over 40% of women are likely to fall victim of violence, while 1 in 5 reported feeling unsafe in their household.
Kwa sababu kama ni baba ya mtoto, baba ya mjukuu au kitukuni bodaboda rider, mama yake labda ameacha form 1 au form 2, huyo sasa ni mzazi huyo, na hawezi hata kulea hawezi. Unajua utaachiwa wewe na atakwenda.
If we do not start from a home setup, because everybody comes from a home, that thief comes from a home, that person who is a rapist comes from a home, that person who does this good things, those people are from homes. So if we do not start from a home setup, then we lose it all.
Men, if aggrieved, they will go out there and throw stones and shout and do whatever they're doing. What about the women? Because we are all human beings. So what we notice is that women are locked up in the house, crying, not cooking, not doing what, until when the men come back as well, they still vent their anger on them. So yes, women are physically, psychologically, mentally, and just badly affected.
But we haven't had any commitment that is going to help us to prevent GBV.
Women like Jane Anyango, founder of Polycom Development Project in Kibera, are now finding ways to improve the situation.
When we are talking about the informal settlements, then we are talking about that lower economic status of a woman. You are talking about a woman who must survive. And in fact, in the informal settlements, most of the women who are here, they are here because maybe something negative happened in their past, majority of them. Maybe their husbands died and they've been disinherited, or maybe they were not just lucky to get husbands, just very different stuff.
After seeing what women and girls go through in the hands of those entrusted to protect them, Jane decided to start a campaign against gender-based violence.
Polycom is like many community development projects. So it was about women getting together to empower girls. And Polycom works with women and girls. We reach girls through schools, and we are wide. Right now we work with girls in 50 schools. We recruit young women who do the day-to-day walking to schools and mentorship of these girls. And then women, we work with organized groups. So we are only adding value. We acknowledge the fact that these women are empowered and already doing something in their communities. We believe that you cannot just come from nowhere and assume that this society was dead and it's you who is resurrecting it. So we add value, the little value that we add based on the conversations that we have with them. And this is at times a little tough because organizations are expected to be thematic. We are not thematic. We respond to issues as they come.
As the sun shines over the tin-roofed houses, women and young girls walk in for a session of psychotherapy.
You as a woman, wherever you are, ni risk gani una face kwa nyumba, kwa mtaa.
One after the other opens up, painting the gross inhumane violation of their rights.
Polycom nilikuja sababu ilipata hizo vitu zimekuwa kama trauma kwa mawazo yangu. Nikikaa sina ile amani, niko na stress mingi, na nikabaki, ikafika mahali nikawa nimejidharau, najiona mimi sifai, nikawa ninaona hata kuishi hakuna haja. Pia nikiangalia watoto wangu naona bado ni wadogo, watateseka. Nikawa najipea tu ile moyo wa kuishi kwa sababu nilea watoto. Lakini tangu nianze kukuja hapa, ile counseling wanatupea imenisaidia by the way. Ikaondoa ile machungu ilikuwa ndani yangu, ikaondoa ile stress nyingi ilikuwa ndani yangu. Sababu ulikuwa unanipata tu nimekaa tu hivi niko stressed, ninalia. Lakini from hapo ile kulia na ile kujihurumia imeisha ndani yangu. Na pia vile wameanza kutufundisha ile kushare, na nikagundua hiyo kushare pia imekuwa ikini release. Sababu nimekuwa nikipitia hizo vitu na ninanyamazia sana. Naona nikishare na mtu na itakuwa sasa ni topic ya kwenda kunitangaza kule nje. Lakini vile tumekuwa tukikutana, tunashare, tunaongea, nimekuwa nikipata ile release, na pia ninapata kujijenga kimaisha. Nikajua kumbe wakati unapitia hizo sieti ndio mwisho wa maisha ama sifai, lakini ni challenge katika maisha.
But now that I am in a different space, and now that I've learned when such issues occur, they should be reported, because this is how we keep quiet with so many things, and we end up sweeping things under the carpet, of which they get to affect our young girls and women when they are growing up. Some of them grow up with traumas, because you wake up in the morning, that's the same person you see next to your door. You wake up in the morning, that is the person you go to the shop and buy something to. You know, it keeps on reminding you. It means you have not gone through the whole process and you have healed and become a different person. For now, I feel so nice. I'm feeling I have healed. I have forgiven them personally, because that is also a process of healing. And the fact that I'm even talking about it, it means that I have even healed, you know, because it's hard for someone to open up if they went through such traumas. They could not easily open up. Anytime they could open up, they tear down. But right now that I'm not tearing down, and right now that I am free to openly talk about it, and it means I have moved on, I have grown, I have forgiven him. For me, I don't feel anything anytime I see him, but the only thing I pray is that I pray all the time and ask God to give me strength, never to feel any anger or rage or anything towards them. The only fear that I have is I would not want my children to call people uncle. You know, I let my children go to their uncle's house without me. That is the fear that I have. You know, your fear, yeah. Okay, in trusting issues, yes. Will I trust everyone who is around me? And furthermore, that I'm also working with the community and also handling other issues that are affecting young girls who are going to school. And you hear that my uncle raped me, and you're just like, My dad raped. So it brings a fear of, will I ever trust people who are around me when I'll have my own children? Will I be able to be free with them, with even my female children? So it's quite a scary thing to think about.
It is through these sessions that Jane and the team get to hear raw and traumatizing experiences. I get women every day, women who have been gone through a lot, and that is why we came up with this Tuesday. We call it Survivors Tuesday, where we get survivors together to discuss, just share their stories, and maybe, God willing, we are going to document those stories so that we are talking from reality. The way we handle them is that we create spaces for them to be able to understand themselves. Another unique thing that we do is that we get women to ask what happened. If it is something that they can change, they change. If it is something that they can't change, then let them decide what they want to do with their lives. But you cannot live the same way you are. You must just change your mind. Majority of these young girls and mothers are victims of child neglect, physical assault, rape, child marriage, and sexual assault.
Our walk-ins are like now these are people coming in physically. I think we have tentatively 10 to 15 in a week. Yeah, that is those who are just walk-in. Yeah, but now the ones we meet in schools through the talking boxes are even more. I think in a week we can get as many as 700 cases. This is Kibera only, but we also work with these organizations, as I mentioned before. We have presence in Kiambio, Mukuru, Mathare, Korogosho.
Although Kenya's 2017 election was relatively peaceful and 2022 elections are approaching fast, the women living here are a worried lot. They fear that polls could be chaotic. Their biggest question is, who will protect them?
I have been a victim of political violence, and this was when it was very calm. When my home was actually raided, an assumption that I'm aligning with the wrong party, which was really bad. And I thought this would be an opportunity for women rights organizations to come out and get political party leaders to condemn violence against women. Nothing happened. So I think we have not worked well. We have not really been able to put our synergies together when we are talking about political violence, especially against women. You know, when we were talking about, you know, the way you're asking me about what is out there. But a scenario presented itself, and we did do something about it. So it is easier when you're talking about what has really happened, which has never really worked well. So we have so many people who are scared, and I don't know what political parties or the political aspirants is doing about this, but we know that there's so many women don't vote. So many women move to their villages, they move to places that they think that are safe during the voting process.
Kwanza kwa sasa hivi pia bado kuna msukumo wali ya sintofahamu. Kwa sababu kunasikia kuna baba, huku kuna Ruto. Sasa ujui hapa katikati itatokezea nini? Na sisi ndio tuko hapa kwa ground. Hatuna amani. Kwa sababu kila siku ya uchaguzi tunakaa tu, lakini amani inakosekana. Kwa sababu watoto wetu na wajukuu zetu wako haraka kutumika ovyo.
The activist has now launched a grassroots peace campaign that is mobilizing hundreds of women.
So, Mr. President, this is Anyango from Kibera. I am from Polycom Development Project. What I'm saying is that can we listen more to prevention? We don't want it to happen completely.
Sasa kitu inatusukuma kuwa na amani kwa sababu tunaona amani imekosekana. Na sisi kama wamama, sisi ndo chanzo cha uzazi. Mama aweza kusikizwa zaidi kuliko baba na vijana. Vijana wanasikizwa lakini si sana. Lakini sisi kina mama tusimame na mwito mmoja, inakuwa rahisi sana.
Through her sacrifices and work, Jane has won local and international awards. In 2010, for example, she won a Peace Award by Community Peace Builder Award.
But I think the most amazing one was in 2010. In 2010, I was picked by the State Department to go to the US as an international visitor for the International Visitor Leadership Program. And then I was a typical Kibera woman. So I was like fished from the slums to DC, to Washington, DC. I was also nominated for the Woman of Courage Award. That is by the State Department, US State Department. I have Woman of Distinction Award. I have recognition from several organizations, locally and internationally. I had applied for that fellowship, I think that was my 6th time. So I break the record. I'm the person who applied for the longest time. And I was able to be selected. I was in San Diego for 4 months, talking to university students, having a lot of conversations, and representing Kenya. So that was very prestigious, and I really appreciated it. Yeah. What is missing? Funding for community-led initiatives. Funding for community-led initiatives. I'm not talking about community organizations. I'm talking about community-led initiatives. In Polycom, we have the talking box. It is not anywhere unless someone is trying to replicate it, which is okay. But does it have funding? No, because it is not in the traditional issues of funding women. So fund community-led initiatives. People know what they want. People know the change they want to see. Help them to get to that change and effect it.
As we celebrate the unsung heroines around the world, Jane Anyango is our heroine, as her endless push for justice and fight for women and girls' rights has made hundreds of young girls in Kibera achieve their dreams. Besides, Kenyan government should ensure women and girls at risk of gender-based violence have access to adequate medical and mental services, safe spaces, financial support and justice.
Yes, there are so many opportunities for the girls, and the opportunity starts with us. And that is why we are doing a lot of self-empowerment for them to be able to see these opportunities and go for them. Because not everybody will hold your hands, or people will not hold your hands to every opportunity. And that is why I'm very proud of my girls. They are doing so much. They are applying for so many opportunities, and they're just flying out there. And that is what gives me satisfaction.
Polycom is home away from home, because you are embraced, you are given the opportunity, and you're told, run with the opportunity. They'll speak for themselves. We let them tell their own stories, and we should advocate for them to be in the policy body making spaces, because if policies are being made, and those are the places where conclusions are done, and that is how our country is run, so we should have these young girls into policy body making spaces so that they would table out their issues. You know, we let them tell their own stories so that when policies will be made, at least, you know, they will be represented.
And women are experts on their issues. So let's not think that there are women who are more special than other women. We are all the same. Ask me about Kibera slums. I know about Kibera more than the minister. Even more than the president. Because when he comes here, I'm the one to take him around. So he's an expert in his own field, and I'm an expert in my own field. So let's create opportunities for everybody, because we are all experts in our own categories.
Africa women on the front line.
For KTN News, I'm Levis Msumba.